Well, good morning, friend. How are you doing? It's great to see you. I hope you have just a few minutes where you can grab a mug, join me. Let's catch up and have some coffee because I want to share something really important, I think, to anyone who is thinking about writing a book or a story. It's what I do. It's what I love to help people do. So, if you have never caught me live before and this is your first time to catch my show, I want to say hello and thanks for being here. My name is Ronee Harden. By trade, I am an editor. I am a writer. I'm a writing coach. I love help mentoring folks who are walking through the process of self-publishing their books. But more importantly, I love to encourage people to share their stories because we are living our story every day. And today I am celebrating my birthday, another trip around the sun, and oh, the stories that I have collected. I mean, if I think about just what I've done in the last week, how busy I've been, the traveling I've done, the traveling I'm getting ready to do. I mean, I'm getting ready to get on a plane this afternoon. So there's stories going on all around us and we're living our own story. And it's so important when we get to share our story with others. Now, we do this, believe it or not, every day. If you're posting on social media, you're sharing a little bit about your day, what you ate, where you're going, funny things, thoughts that you're having, ideas. They're all part of the creativity that you share on a daily basis. But what if you were to go back through your social media posts and look at how much you've written just this week? I bet you would be surprised to find out that you're actually writing. You're a writer. Those creative ideas and thoughts, these social media platforms have allowed us to share content in amazing ways. I mean, look at the people that are on TikTok, right? That's sharing a story and sharing content in a completely new format. And so we've grown accustomed to seeing these short 15 and 30 and 60-second videos of incredible content that we end up sharing with others, right? Have you ever seen, you've seen the viral videos, you've probably been a part of making them viral. But more importantly, you have your own creativity that you share with others. And that's what I want to encourage you today. So if you are joining live, definitely pop in. Good morning. Good morning. Here's everybody coming. Good morning. Hello, Bear. Good morning. I get to see you in just a few hours. I'm so excited about that. Good morning, Victoria. Thank you so much for popping in. I love my ladies from the Page Turners Book Club. Yep, we're all Page Turners. In fact, that's going to be our pseudonym, right? Page Turner. Hello, Sherry, my faithful dear friend. Sherry has been with me since the beginning of my live streaming journey. And so I want to just salute you this morning, Sherry. She's also in my book club. We'll talk a little bit more about that, about reading and loving and enjoying great books by other people. But here's what I want to talk about today. And in fact, my featured mug today is a shout out to the Dallas Fort Worth Writers Conference. So if you're a newbie writer, you've maybe been encouraged to attend a writing conference or get involved with some writing groups. And so I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about, are writers conferences worth it? So if you are a new writer, you've been working on something for a while, you've been honing your craft, and you want to expand and get some critique from people, or even find out, how can I get my book published? How can I possibly get my books published, especially if I want it picked up by a big imprint, right? So that's what I love to do. I help people walk through the process of learning how to take their idea or maybe a draft of something that they've written and really fine tune that so that they can then share it in different platforms. There's online publishing platforms that you can share your content on. If you don't have 50 to 60,000 words, maybe your forte is writing 3 to 5,000 words on a consistent basis, right? Those are called short stories. And there's also something called flash fiction. And that has to do with fiction in 5,000 words or less. That's why it's called flight, that you can literally sit down and read it in just a short amount of time. And that's a great way to hone your writing skills. But what if you want to kick it up a notch? What if you've been doing that for a while and you really want to find out more about the publishing industry? Well, you go to a writers conference. And writers conferences are places where you get to immerse yourself in a weekend and find out all you can about the latest trends that are going on in the published industry, meet some people who are agents representing agencies that are looking for manuscript and story ideas. There are also people who are good at their craft, various editors, different people in the publishing industry who hold sessions and talk to you about things like the pacing of your story beats, how to develop characters, how to write mystery novels. There's all kinds of resources and people that you can talk to find out more about the particular writing that you like to do. Is it nonfiction? Is it a memoir? Is it an autobiography? Is it historical fiction? What kind of writing do you enjoy? I learned about something, and I'm trying to figure out how to spell it because, again, it's Chinese, but it's called Wuxia. And it's an entire genre of Chinese literature, and I'm not sure. I mean, that was fascinating to find out, right? I know about manga. So there are all kinds of writing genres and formats to learn about, especially when you want to learn about one that is particular to your style of writing. I work with a lot of nonfiction authors. So if you think of things in the category of self help, business, finance, um, tips and tricks on helping you learn the DIY things, or maybe it's a story about, overcoming tragedy or loss and coming out of the ashes of that and rebuilding your life. Those are all in the nonfiction category, right? Those are real stories about true things that are going on. But then there's also the fiction world. And in the fiction world, there's so many subgenres there. There's steampunk, there's mystery, there's children's literature, there's horror, there's romance, right? All kinds of categories of writing so that you get to pick the one that is your favorite or maybe one you enjoy. There's even poetry that you can, learn how to write and then even create a collection of poems that you would like to share. So there's all kinds of outlets and formats for your writing. But writing conferences allow you to be around people who are in the industry and learn about what's going on. And I want to give a huge shout out to the organizers um, who created this conference, because I'm telling you, they put together such a great event. And the time it takes to put some of these conferences together. If you've ever attended a conference within your field of work, you know that putting it together with attendees of 400 to 500 people is really an undertaking. So the organizers of the DFW Writers Conference put together some great panels. We had panels on the craft of writing. Then we had panels on the business of writing, right? Because you can write a book, you can share a story, you can upload a file to Amazon and hit send and be done with your book on Amazon. Or you could possibly think about taking your book to a traditional publisher. And what I mean by that are several imprints of larger publishing houses. For example, the book that we're reading in my book club, it's called Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. It's a great story, and she was published by Echo Books, ECCO, echobooks.com, which is an imprint of HarperCollins Publishing. Now, what do I mean by imprint? Well, under the big five publishers, there are several smaller little, what they call imprints. These are smaller houses within the big house of HarperCollins that focus on a certain type of book. There are imprints that handle um, self-help, prescriptive nonfiction. So it's anything in the self-help category, anything in, the psychology, that kind of thing. That's all under self-help. So there's an imprint for that. But there are other imprints that take on different types of fiction stories. So Echo Books, a division of HarperCollins, printed Shelby Van Pelt's book. And this is her very first novel, her debut novel. And she hit the New York Times bestseller list. Now, if you look at Shelby Van Pelt's portfolio of work, you'll find that she is an avid flash fiction writer. She really improved her writing skills by writing a lot of flash fiction. And so when it came time, I'm sure, to work on her book, she approached an agent, got signed, and then got to work on her book. So writing conferences are a great resource for you to find publishers to talk to and agents to talk to. Not only that, but you are surrounded by other writers. You realize that you have this wonderful world of peers who are encouraging you and supporting you and can give you feedback on your work. It's great to sit with other writers and compare notes, ask questions, talk about your struggles, where you hit writing block. What do you do when you are writing a character and you've kind of hit a wall? How do you deal with writer's block? What are some tips and resources you found? Who are some people that you think I could talk to and network with to get my book um, possibly published or looked at? All of those things can happen at a writers conference. Now, there's lots of different writers conferences that you could look up. You could just do a Google search on writers conferences and find out ones that are in your area. Some of the larger national writing conferences are fun to go to, but with anything else, writing, going to conferences costs money. And you have to think about that. So there are all kinds of different, like I'm looking at, there's a Kauai in Hawaii Writers Conference. Um, there's the Texas Book Festival. These are coming up for these, the New York Pitch Conference. Okay. These are for writers who are pitching things for film, for TV, screenwriters, right? Script writers. Um, and there's all kinds of writers. So I'm looking at this. Let's see. So the New York Right to Pitch. This is a pitch conference. Let's see. It's happening in December. Let's see. It says the New York Right to Pitch is an evolutionary enhancement of the New York Pitch Conference. It's an array of programs and methodology to provoke aspiring authors into developing, refining, and pitching their novels in such a manner as to greatly increase their chances of becoming published. Genres include serious and light women's fiction, suspense women's fiction, mystery, crime, thrillers, all subgenres, historical fiction, YA, adult science fiction and fantasy, suspense, general fiction, upmarket, and literary. Right? And so, I mean, the resources on this look fantastic. In fact, I'm going to share the screen with you so you can see what I'm looking at. Let's see here. Because I want to take you through what it looks like to check into some of these writers conferences. So, for example, I just pulled this one up on screen because I want to show you if you were doing a a search on writers conferences and you wanted to see some that you wanted to go to. Here we go. So here's the New York Right to Pitch. Okay. And so you can go here and let's see, what are the benefits of going to this conference? Here are all the benefits and perks. Who benefits most? You've been working on your novel a few months or a few years or more, and you feel you need a reality check to determine whether or not you are on the right track. Perhaps you're not sure about the premise or evolution of the plot, and you've received conflicting or potentially bad advice from too many amateurs. Reality check time. The publishing house editors and other commercial veterans at the event will be analytical and frank with you, but best to evaluate yourself first and shed whatever thin skin remains. So if you're a new writer, don't suggest going to this conference first because these people are the real deal, and they're going to tell you some things you may not want to hear. And so I love that in their disclaimer, they even tell you, if you this is not for you if you've got thin skin, right? So if you look, I just did a Google search on writing conferences 2022 in the United States. And so if you notice right here on my page, right? We have Christian writers conferences, fiction writers conferences, virtual writing conferences. Maybe you don't want to be in the crowds. You don't want to have to travel. You don't want to have the expense of traveling, but you can do it in a virtual setting. Don't we love that we can do virtual things? But maybe you've been doing virtual for a while. Thank you, pandemic. And you'd like to get around some in real life people, some spontaneous in real life sessions. Not that that can't happen virtually, but sometimes it's good to just sit and be immersed in the experience. So, let's check out some of these online, right? And I'm going to look. So there's lots. Here's 60 events worth attending. Let's look at that one. Writers, oh, look at all of these. The Author Advantage, San Francisco Writers, Northern Colorado, Las Vegas, Midwest, Missouri's Writers Guild. Oh my goodness, look at all of these. Fiction conferences, conferences about blogging, conferences about freelance writing to learn how to do that and get paid for it, like I do. Um, Children's book writing and illustrating, Christian writing, if you are in Canada, here are some conferences that you can go to in Canada, the UK and Ireland, and in Europe, around the world. Look at all of these conferences on indie publishing and self-publishing. So the Writer's Digest conference, let's look at that one. That was the last one on the list. And I will just tell you how to write and publish your book in 90 days. It can happen. I don't advise it for brand new writers. Can you get published? Yes, you can get published in an online forum. You can upload a file to Amazon, send it, and it's there. If you want to get published, okay, if you want to get published and do it regularly, yes, there are so many online forums and magazines and guilds and formats and even online sites like Medium and let's see, what's another one? Gosh, there's so many. I mean, there's so many different online platforms that you can submit to have your writing published. But if you really want to publish your book, it takes some time. I found out something really interesting. I knew it took long in the traditional publishing world, but I was curious to the specific timeline, right? So traditional publishers right now are slotting books to publish in 2025 and 2026. The traditional publishing route, be prepared to go 2 to 3 years before your book is published. That's how long it's taking so books that you are seeing published right now, they started writing them 2 years ago. One of my uh, favorite mentors and writing people and friend that I have, who's a very successful writer and speaker, John Acuff, he just spent the last 2 years working on his book. So he started working on it during the pandemic, and he published his new book with his daughters that they were working on this summer. But 2 years it took them to work on this. So, and John is in the middle of writing another one. So that's the traditional publishing timeline. It takes about 2 to 3 years. So that's why a lot of people self-publish, and that's what I love helping people do. Because if you want to publish something in less than 2 years, maybe you want to publish it next month online. Maybe you have something you would like to get published in the spring or spring or summer for next year, right? If you're trying to publish by Christmas, I will tell you that I would look for an online forum for your work, or perhaps think about starting your blog and getting your work published that way. Because to try to self-publish something right now, especially before the holidays, a little daunting. And so I love to sit down with new authors and kind of walk them through the self-publishing timeline. Yes, you can set a date for when you would like your book to drop. But what I do is I have a tool that helps backdate all of the steps that it takes to get your book published so that you have an idea of the production timeline. Sure, you could write a manuscript, and there's the editing phase that we go through. But then once everything is edited and clean and ready to go, now we have the production timeline. And so that's a process too in getting your book published. So that's really important. So, Writers Digest Conference, it happens. Let's see, I'm going to click on that. Will it take us to the? Oh, no. Let's see. Let's see if we can. I want to find a good site for you. You have to be careful of those third party links. So do a specific search if you're looking for a conference. So let's go to the Writers Digest Conference for 2022. So it already happened. Oh, and one of my favorite people was there. In fact, if you want to know more about the business side of becoming a writer, there's her book. Yes, I have it. I have her book. It's called The Business of Being a Writer. Because if you really want to transition into the business side of becoming a writer, you need to know what it's going to take, right? Anything that we take on, we need to know. So notice there are people speak on mastering suspense, structure, and plot. These were all pre-conference, but you notice up here you have a pitch slam with agents and editors. So when you do this, look at all of the people. You have all of the categories here that are represented, and you have all of these people representing agencies who are looking for manuscripts, story ideas, and people that you can talk to get a good idea of what's going on in the industry right now. So let's look at the schedule. And it was held in New York City over 3 days. So how fun is that? So they have pre-conference workshops, and I saw one of them here. Look, here's Jane Friedman, Building a Sustainable Writing Career, Priorities, Platforms, and Getting Paid, right? And then here's all the different sessions. And you notice there's something for everybody, right? Great ways to start the process, learn about it. And again, networking, networking, networking. But what if you can't? Let's see how much this conference is. I'm just curious, right? Because if we're going to do this, I'm walking through this with you. Okay, so let's see. Basic conference. Let's look at the basic conference. And they did so pre-conference workshop 199. They don't have the price, and I'm wondering if they don't have it because it already. Oh, here we go. We have pre-conference workshops, and it says register now. Let's see what happens if I hit register now. Oh, it's closed. So we'll have to find out about how much that is. But when you go to these conference sites, you can look at you can look at how much they cost. So let's go to the one that I just attended. Okay. Um, Here we go, DFW Writers Conference. And I'm walking you through this to show you how you could look up ones even in your region. Okay. So they've already updated the website talking about 2023. I love that because we just had the conference this last weekend. So thank you to all who attended. We'll see you next year. But here was let's see if we can find, let's see, speakers and classes. Is it still there? There we go. All right. So here was the schedule that we had. And I sat in some great sessions. Oh my goodness, right? So you can see here by the ones that I checked, these are the ones that I attended. I can tell you that the one on how to pitch with this agency, um, but bless her heart, Rosemary, there were so many people in this session that there were people standing out in the hallway of her room so that they could listen. Um, Ask an Agent, I attended that so we could really ask questions to the writers agency. But you notice there's great characters plotting the epic story, speculative fiction. This is high fantasy. How to kickstart a project if you wanted to kickstart getting your book published. This one is a session about learning how to adapt your book for a pitch to being on TV or pitching your story to have your story adapted into film, right? Um, an overview of the pub board and acquisition process. This was a great session I sat in on, all about how agents go about acquiring books for their agency. That was really helpful. But so many great, we had Julie Murphy, the author of Dumpling. If you, the movie Dumpling, um, it was adapted into a movie. So Julie Murphy was there, um, writing about strong women, what to do when you do get a publishing contract, what happens after that, writing for children, marketing for the traditionally published author, unforgettable memoirs, accounting advice for self-employed writers, right? So there were all kinds of sessions and categories and things that helped us. This conference was awesome. I enjoyed myself so much. We had such a great time. And it was so helpful to be around people who work in the industry. It helps hone my craft as an editor so that I can be a better resource to the people that I'm serving. And more importantly, it helps me also as a writer because I'm in the journey with you. And that's what I love doing the most. So, writers' conferences, are they worth it? Maybe you can't attend one on a national level, but look for local writers' conferences. Maybe there are some writers' group. We have something here in Dallas called the DFW Writing Workshops. They meet once a month, and people get together and bring their work so that they can get critiques, get some input from outside people who are going to be reading this material, blind, as any new reader would if they pulled your book off the shelf or clicked on that link to purchase your book, right? So, what is their response? They can give you some helpful feedback, especially if they want to help you move your plot along or develop your characters, or maybe as a nonfiction book, they want to make sure they're following your story or understand the message you have or the call to action you have, what you want someone to do when they put your book down, right? So, all of those things, those are great beneficial things. But writers' conferences are truly an investment in you and in your craft. So, like anything else, you have to think about where you could attend a writers' conference, but I really hope that you do. And if you ever want to just come to Dallas and attend the DFW Writers Conference, what I loved about our conference is that it probably had, I would say, 350 to 400 people. So it's a lot of people, but it was small enough and intimate enough that you could meet and talk to people in the lobby area over coffee. And the DFW Writers Conference, man, let me tell you, they had coffee, tea, and water and light refreshments ready. They know writers can get hangry, and it helped us move from session to session easily without worrying about, did I have time to get something to drink? Or, I mean, everything was placed nicely. The bathrooms were easily accessible. We were able to go from session to session with no problem. But you were able to sit down at lunch and meet writers, talk to them, get to know them, find out what they're working on, and share what you're working on. And I don't know about you, but I sure left with my tank full. And that's the goal of attending a writers conference. So if you would like to attend a writers conference, or you're just kind of thinking about finding the right conference for you, let me know, because I love to help authors and writers who are trying to find their way in this wonderful world of sharing our stories, right? Oh, thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. Yes, it's incredible, isn't it? Another trip around the sun and helping people with their stories. So, some great stories. In fact, when I got into my office this morning, my sweet husband had put a present underneath my laptop here and had a birthday present for me. And so I was so excited. Where is it? Where is it? He got me a biography on Queen Elizabeth. And I think this might be a copy of, let me see when this was published. John Wiley and Sons. This was published in 1996. So I'm wondering if he got like an imprint copy. I love this. This is the biography by Ben Pimlett. One of the many merits of Ben Pimlett's superbly judicious biography of Elizabeth II is that it understands this connection between monarchy and masses and carefully evokes its political importance. Oh, he knows how much I love the Queen, and he knows how much I loved her life. And so he got me a copy of her biography. Isn't that great? So I got that. And then one of my favorite singers who I got to see in this, I mean, my birthday month has been fantastic because I have seen so many shows of some of my favorite bands in these last few weeks. It's unbelievable. But I got the copy of Brian Ferry's new book called Lyrics. Ooh, I'm going to turn, let's see, I'm going to turn this light off because this is so bright. And it's making everything look so wonky. Is that better? There we go. So it's a yellow book cover and it's lyrics. And this is a book of all the lyrics of Roxy music and Brian Ferry, or music that Brian Ferry has written. And when you read lyrics on the page versus hearing them in the song, you realize that they're beautiful pieces of poetry. And so I love that. This says Brian Ferry is a singer-songwriter and co-founder of the group Roxy Music, with whom he wrote and recorded 8 acclaimed albums. In 2011, Ferry was awarded a CBE of the British Order, and in 2012 received the French national honor of the Arts de Lettres. In 2014, he was made an honorary Doctor of Music at Newcastle University, and Roxy Music were inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, in 2019. So this is a collection of the words written for music across 17 albums, from the first iconic Roxy album of 1972 via the masterpiece of Avalon, to 2014's reflective Avonmore, introduced by the author and with an insightful essay by James Truman. So I love this. I can't wait. I'm just so excited. As a birthday present to myself, I got this one. And while I was in the bookstore, and I don't know about you guys, but I love finding just randomly amazing books, I found this one. Oh, thank you, my dear friend. Thank you, Kelly. I love you, my dear. I found this one. Are you all familiar with the memes that are like long stories told in short form? Well, this lady, she made a book called Long Story Short, 100 Classic Books in 3 Panels. Have you ever read a book that is so long that you just don't want to read it? And so imagine the task it would be to take a novel and condense it down to 3 panels that would give a person the idea of the story. So let's see. I'm trying to find some good ones. Oh, here's a good one. There's To Kill a Mockingbird. Right? Can you see that, by Harper Lee? So there's a main panel at the top, and then there's the 3 panels below. Right? So it says, when it's a white man's word against a black man, the white man always wins, even if you have a really good lawyer. Right? Oh, the bottom one is The Stranger by Albert Camus. That's what it is. Yeah, so that's To Kill a Mockingbird. Can you guess what this one is? Epic, dude. Right? Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. Harry Potter. Can you see that? Boarding school is looking like a good idea. Hey, it's even better than I thought it would be. Mr. Potter, fame isn't everything. Troll, we meet again. Right? Hilarious. So this, and again, it's like a picture book, right? Beautiful, hardback, Isn't it great? It's so great. Look at I love this. Look at this. So the challenge is to guess the story by looking at the panels, right? It says literature is long, comics are short. Has Proust got you down? Do you find the unbearable lightness of being simply unbearable? Is the Inferno your own private hell? Do you long to be conversant about classics like Moby Dick, the Bhagavad Gita, Madame Bovary, and Twilight? Well, best-selling illustrator Lisa Brown has created pithy and piercing comics of 100 titles, from classroom classics like Don Quixote, Lord of the Flies, and Jane Eyre, to modern favorites like Beloved, The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, and The Handmaid's Tale, conveniently organized by subjects. Lisa Brown's Long Story Short is the perfect way to turn a traipse through what your English teacher called the canon into a frolic. Right? And I love this. Life is too short for a long book. Nevermore. Right? So I bought this one. This is really fun. Long Story Short by Lisa Brown. Fun books that you can find, right? People are telling their stories in all different kinds of ways. Graphic novels are really hot right now, right? And I sat in a lot of sessions on children's books because a lot of the work that I've been getting lately have been for children's book authors. Do you have a story in you? Do you love books? You can join my book club. You can join us for the reading of Remarkably Bright Creatures. Okay. Or you can talk to me about the business of being a writer, because that's what I want to encourage you to do. You've got some great stories in you. I know you do. And if I see you on social media and you're sharing your stories, I just may comment and go, that'd make a great idea for a story. And if you need any help or you want to just ask me some questions, or maybe you just want to have some coffee with me because I'm cool and I'd love to hang out, I'd love to have coffee with you. And I hope you'll join me sometime, whether it's at a writers conference or just in general. I'll be back here next Wednesday because we're going to be talking about prepping for NaNoWriMo. If you are a writer, you know what NaNoWriMo is, but I like to call it National Novice Writers Month because there are novice writers out there everywhere. And I want to encourage you to just kind of dip your toes in the water and start really seriously thinking about getting your work published. You can do it. I know you can. Share your awesomeness with somebody today. You never know the difference you can make in their life. And your story touching another person's story, that, my friends, is what makes a great day. I hope you have a great one. I'll see you back here next week, okay? We'll talk more about the craft of writing and how you can share your amazing story. Take care. Have a great week. Happy birthday to me. I'll see you next time.